Hello student, today we will start new chapter, that is new question and ideas in history. Yes, as you know that India is a multicultural country. In India, you saw different religious people, they live together. Here we speak different languages, we speak different languages in different areas, we celebrate different festivals. In India, you saw diversity, but after this diversity, we live with each other with a brotherhood and unity. And that's why we called it unity in diversity in India. Yes, in India, you saw different religious people live together, like different religions like Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, Islam, Sikhism. This all people live together. But at that time, one question arises in our mind. How these different religions develop in India? So first of all, we are talking about Buddhism. Yes, here through this chapter, we study about the story of the Buddha. The childhood name of Gautam Buddha was Siddhartha. Siddhartha, also known as Gautam, the founder of Buddhism, and was born about 2500 years ago. Yes, already in our previous session, we study about different Vedas and Upanishads, about Hinduism, Hindu culture. The four Vedas, totally we study about the four Vedas, which are Rig Veda, which is the ancient Veda in Indian history. And then we study about the different literature of Sham Veda, Yajur Veda and Atharva Veda also. Here we study about Buddhism. At that time, you study about some kings in Mahajanpadas were growing more powerful. Yes, at that time totally 16 Mahajanpadas were there. In this chapter, this was a time when you saw rapid change in the life of people. Here, new cities and villages were developed. People joined different Mahajanpadas like Magadha and Vajji Sangha. At that time, here many thinkers were trying to understand this change in society. Everybody wanted to know and try to find out the true meaning of life. Why we live? What is the true meaning of life? Here we are talking about basically the Buddha, the Gautam Buddha. The Gautam Buddha belongs to small Gana. Small Gana means a small place known as here the Shakya Gana, and was a Kshatriya. He was basically a Kshatriya. We study about Varnas. The first one is Brahmins, then second one is the Kshatriya. They are the warriors. Then we study about Shudras and Vaishyas, means they are the other people. Here they are the traders, farmers, businessmen, craft persons. So here we study about Buddha. So Buddha is basically Kshatriya. Here when he was a young man, he left the comfort of his home in search of knowledge. They wanted to gain knowledge. They searched the true meaning of life. He wandered from several years from place to place, meeting and holding discussion with other thinkers. He finally decided to find his own path to realization and meditation for days. And under a peepal tree at Bodh Gaya in Bihar, where he attained enlightenment. Enlightenment means knowledge, they gain knowledge. Okay, after that he was known as the Buddha. Everybody, the other peoples called them as Buddha or the wise one. He then went to Sarnath. First time they went to Sarnath near Varanasi, where he taught for the first time in Uttar Pradesh. He spent the rest of his life traveling by foot and going from place to place, teaching people till he passed away at Kusinara. Kusinara, which is situated in Uttar Pradesh. So here we study about the Gautam Buddha. The Buddha taught that the life is full of suffering, full of unhappiness. All the people are unsatisfied because they have lot of desires, they have lot of wants. For example, if we have a bicycle, we need motorbike. If we have a motorbike, we want new car. So our desires, which often can't be fulfilled at any time. So this is the cause, because we have cravings and desires. Cravings means lalach. Sometimes if we get what we want, we are not satisfied. We have lot of things, but after that we can't satisfy with our things, with our desires, and want even more or want other things. We are demanding with our parents other things. So this is the main cause of unhappiness. The Buddha described this as a thirst or tanha, which can't be fulfilled. Okay? He taught that this constant craving could be removed by following moderations in everything. They said about the changes in our life. He also taught people to be kind and to respect the life of others, like animals. We respect to our elders, our grandparents, including animals. He believed that the result of our action means a good karma, whether good or bad, after both in our life. And the next, Buddha taught in the language of ordinary people. At that time, generally people speak Prakrit language. In many parts of India, you saw general people, they speak Prakrit language, so that everybody could understand this message. So they spread their message in Prakrit language. In this chapter, Gautam Buddha encouraged people to think about themselves. So here, everybody, I'll tell you one story which is related to the story of Kissa Gautami. This is a true story which is given in the Buddha's book. Here is a famous story about Gautam Buddha. Once there was a woman named Kissa Gautami whose son had died. She was so sad and she roamed through the street of the city, carrying the child with her and asking for help to one another to bring him back to the life. Yes, obviously this is a sad moment, and at that time she requests everybody to help her for help to bring him back alive, to life. A kind man took her to the Buddha. Yes, everybody tell about Buddha, and finally the Buddha said, bring me a handful of mustard seed. This is the condition from the Buddha, and I will bring your child back to life. At that time, this woman, this Kissa Gautami, she felt very happy. Kissa Gautami was overjoyed and started off at once. But at that time, Buddha gently stopped her and added, the seed must come from the house of a family where nobody has child. Is it possible? No. Because it's a view that everybody, there is a life, there is a death. So here, this is the true incident of time of Gautam Buddha. The Kissa Gautami went from door to door, but wherever she went, she found out that someone or the other, means the father, mother, sister, brother, husband, wife or child, uncle and grandfather, grandmother, had died in everyone's house. So, this is the true incident of their life. So, this story gives us message that everybody has an end of their life. So, this is the true incident. So, now after that we study about Upanishads. Around the time that the Buddha was preaching and perhaps a little earlier, other thinkers also tried to spread or find answer to difficult questions. The question like, some of them wanted to know about life after that. What had happened? If we died and after that what happened? A new life is there? So others wanted to know why sacrifice should be performed. You already we study about the different sacrifices like Ashwamedha Yajna. So many of these thinkers feel that there was something permanent in the universal that would last even after that also. They describe this as a Atman. Atman or the individual soul. It is also called as Brahman or the universal soul. We call it Brahman. Brahman means a universe. And in this universe, you saw some universal soul. Means in simple language, we call it God. God is there, who is the supreme power. They believe that ultimately both the Atman and the Brahman were one in the same. They believe, where is the God? Who is this person? This is the ultimate power or the supreme power. They can't die even more. Many of their ideas were recorded in Upanishads. These were part of the later Vedic text. Upanishadic literally means approaching and sitting near, and the text contained conversation between the teacher and the student. At that time you saw many Kshatriyas, they get education from their gurus, means from the different Brahmins people. And in this system we call it Guru Shishya Parampara. People live in ashramas and they learn different techniques. Ideas were presented through simple dialogues. Most Upanishadic thinkers were men, especially Brahmins and Rajas. Already we study about different sages like Maharshi, Guru Vishwamitri, Vasishtha, Sandipani. These all are the different sages who teach different Kshatriya peoples. Occasionally there is a mention of woman thinker also. For example, such as Gargi, who was the famous for her learning and participated in debates held in royal court. As well as here one more example is there. Poor people rarely took part in this discussion. One famous exception was Satyakarma Jabala. This is the one of the another example of woman thinker who was named after his mother. At that time, you know that Shudras, they can't get right to participate in discussion in royal court. Here we are talking about Satyakarma Jabala, who was named after his mother, the slave woman Jabali. She had a deep desire to learn about reality. She wanted to learn about what is the actual reality of life, and was expected as a student by the Brahmin teacher named Gautama, and he became one of the best known thinkers of Upanishads, where many people learn. This is also the thinking of Shankaracharya, who is the great sages of our Indian history, about whom you will read in next chapter also. So here in this content, in this Upanishads, we learn lot of about universal soul. After Upanishads, we are here, we study about 6 schools of Indian philosophy. Over centuries, Indian intellectual exploration of truth has come to be respected by 6 systems of philosophy. Here they give you the different sages. These are known as Vaisheshika, Nyaya, Samkhya, Yoga, Purva, Mimamsa, Vedic Mimamsa and Uttar Mimamsa. These are the philosophy of Indian thinkers. The 6 system of philosophy are said to have been founded by sages Kanad, the sages Kanad. Then we are talking about Gautama, Kapila, we have heard about Patanjali, then Jaimini and the Guru Vyas. These are the respective thinkers. They shown us their thinking about different philosophies. So here these philosophers still guide scholars and discourage in the country. Here at that time many other philosophers who come from foreign countries, also from German, from the other part Greek, and they also share some experience through their written work. Okay, now in our book they also give us some stories or some example from the Upanishads, like the story of wise beggar, and here also the example of Panini, who is the grammarian. This was also the time when other scholars were at work. One of the most famous was Panini, who prepared the grammar for Sanskrit. Yes, first time she introduced or she gave some formula related to Sanskrit language. He arranged the vowels and the consonant in special order and then used this create as a formula like here, like algebra. So he used this to write down the rules of the language in short formulas, which is around 3000 years ago. Yes, these are the some examples of person who are the very intellectual person, very intelligent person. They give us some different formulas. This Panini gives us the formula about Sanskrit language in Sanskrit grammar. Now after that here we discuss about the another religion, which is a Jainism. Yes, Jainism, the last and the 24th Tirthankara of the Jainas, who is the Vardhaman Mahavira Swami, and also spread his message around 2500 years ago in other part of India. Yes, in different part of India you saw many thinkers are there. Already we study about Upanishads, we study about Gautam Buddha, means Buddhism, and after that this is the new religion which is called as Jainism. And here we are talking about Vardhaman Mahavira, who is the 24th Tirthankar of Jainism. Yes, at that time he was a Kshatriya prince like Gautam Buddha. Of the Lichavis, a group that was part of the Vajjisam. They belongs to a very powerful Mahajanpadas, which is a Vajjisam, about which you read in chapter number 5. Already we studied this about in Vajjisam. At the age of 30, he left home and went to live in a forest area. For 12 years, he led a hard and lonely life, at the end of which he attained enlightenment. He get knowledge. Okay. So after that they give us some theories related to Jainism. He taught a simple doctrine. Doctrine means theories. Man and woman who wish to know the truth must leave their homes. Yes, they tell us, if you want to gain some knowledge, the true meaning of life, you leave your homes. They must follow very strict rules of ahimsa. What is meant by ahimsa? Means a non-violence, which means not hurting or killing living beings. All living beings, said Mahavira, long to live. Yes, here they are talking about small insect also, they are talking about different animal also, and they are talking about human being also. We live with a kindness, we love them, we respect them. Okay. So to all things, like life is very dear. Ordinary people could understand the teaching of Mahavira because he teaches in a simple Prakrit language, because at that time general people or ordinary people speak Prakrit language. As you know that in different part of India, you also see in Gujarat we speak Gujarati language, but if you visited different part of Gujarat, here example in Surat you saw Surti Gujarati is there. If you visit Mehsana, so their total accent is different of Gujarati. If you visit Kathiawad, Saurashtra, here the Gujarati is also, the tone of Gujarati is different from others. So at that time also, in different part, these people speak Prakrit language. There were several forms of Prakrit language used in different part of the country and named after the religions in which they were used. For example, the Prakrit spoken in Magadha, which is the one of the powerful Mahajanpadas, was known as Magadhi language. Here, some followers of Mahavira, Lord Mahavira, who were known as Jainas. Who the people who followed this religion, they are called as Jainas. They strictly follow some rules and regulations. Had to lead a very simple life, begging for food, and they had to be absolutely honest and were especially asked not to steal. And they had to observe celibacy. Celibacy means brahmacharya. They have to follow celibacy. And man had to give everything, including their clothes also. Yes, they live simple life. They wear white clothes only. Generally women, they begging and they live simple life. It was very difficult to follow this kind of strict rules and regulations. So thousands left their home to learn and teach new way of life. And many more remains behind and supported this kind of monks and nuns, providing them food and shelters also. So Jainas were supported mainly by traders, farmers who had to kill insects to protect their crops. Yes, so their rules are very difficult and very strict to follow. So that's why it is not possible to everyone to follow this kind of rules and regulations. So that's why they also follow this Jainism, but not in strict ways. Jainas spread to different parts of North India. They spread their messages and to Gujarat, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. The teaching of Mahavira and his followers were transmitted orally for several centuries. They were written down in the form of which they had presently available at the place called Vallabhi. Yes, nowadays we call it Vallabhipur, near to Bhavnagar. Present day, which is in Gujarat, about 1500 years ago, we found some evidences of Jainism through here. So here we get knowledge about Jainism. Here we are discussing about Sangha. The rules made for the Buddhist Sangha were written down in a book which is called as a Vinaya Pitaka. In this book, they give the detailed information about Buddhism. So, here both Mahavira and Buddha, they felt that only those who left their homes could gain true knowledge. Yes, this is the thinking of these two religions. So, they arranged for them to stay together in the Sangha, an association of those who left their homes to gaining true knowledge. So, that's why the rules made for the Buddhist Sangha were written down in the book Vinaya Pitaka, and through this book we get knowledge about the separate branches for man and woman, where all the men could join the Sangha Here, man and woman, they live in a different viharas or sanghas and they spread their messages to ordinary people. Man and woman who join the sangha led simple life and they meditate for most of the time and went to cities and villages to beg for food and during their fixed time. Yes, they follow some rules and regulations. That is why they were known as Bhikshuk and Bhikshunis. They taught others and helped one another. They teach us about kindness, peacefulness or good karmas. They also held meeting to settle and quarrel that took place within the Sangha. They solved all the problems of people. After that, here we are talking about monasteries. Here, to begin with the both Jainas and the Buddhism, monks went from place to place for teaching people. At that time, we comparing these two religions. Here, during rainy season, they stayed in a one place. The only time they stayed in a one place was during the rainy season, when it was very difficult to travel by the different monks and nuns. Then the supporters built temporary shelter for them in a garden or they live in a natural caves and hilly areas. Yes students, already in many places you saw this kind of natural caves where Jain monks and nuns, means both the religions, Buddhism and Jain people, monks and nuns, they stayed during the rainy season. As this went on, many supporters of the monks and nuns and they themselves felt the need of more permanent shelters and so monasteries were built. Monasteries means a kind of viharas, kind of permanent place for these sages. The earliest vihar were made of wood and nowadays you saw some pakka kind of houses, means which is made up of bricks, somewhere even in caves, then were dug out in hilly and especially in a western India. We found this kind of monasteries or vihar. Here already in our textbook they give us the system of ashramas. Yes, at that time you also saw in Indian culture many people live with their gurus and they spend lot of time to learn different techniques. So here they tell us the different stages of life when they spend with their gurus as well as with their society members. 4 ashramas were recognized here. First is a brahmacharya, second is a grihasthavastha, means they live with the family members. Third is a vanaprastha. Vanaprastha means they spend maximum time for meditation. And last one is a samyanastha, means the old age. When they again meditate for the God, they spread their message to the other people. At the same time, here we are talking about Iran. In Iran, you saw Zoroaster, means a Parsi people, and Indian prophet. His teachings are contained in a book that is called as Avesta. Zoroasters developed another religion in Iran. Nowadays we call it Parsi people. And then the language of the Avesta and the practices described in are very similar to Vedas. The basic teaching of Zoroasters are containing in the maximum. They also teach us good deeds, good things, good thoughts. So here is a verse of the Zen Avesta. Avesta is the holy book of Parsi people. So through this chapter here we learn lot of things about different religions, like we study about Upanishads, we study about Buddhism, we study about Jainism and Zoroasters. So I hope you understand this chapter. Thank you.